Hello and welcome to another episode here on my channel. My name is ChaosMole, and today we are taking a first look at Vampire the Masquerade Bloodhunt. No, don't confuse this with Bloodlines. Different game. This is a battle royale game. And you might remember that I made a video about this a few months ago, and I wasn't really happy about it. And people thought I'm hating on the gameplay. And the reality is, no, I didn't, because how could I? I've never played this game. But my biggest concern was A, the lore factor, and B, do we need another Battle Royale game? Those were the 2 points I made. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the gameplay. I want to talk about the lore factor. And before we jump into this, 2 quick things. First, Mole, why is your cam on? I don't want to see your face. I want to see all of the game. Well, what you see here in the background is some live stream footage, and my cam is always on when I do live streams, so you would see my face anyways, and I decided I want to have like an actual camera on instead of you have to see my face 3 hours ago when I recorded this, and it makes no sense to what I'm saying, right? I would be completely out of sync because it's different footage, so this is why the camera is on. Second, this is an alpha. Everything you see here is still not done, and they have a long way to go. Keep that in mind. Speaking of a long way to go, let's talk about technology here very quickly. I'm actually really happy how this game runs. I had constant 144 Hz on my monitor. I was running on ultra settings. There was no bugs, no glitches. There was one time where we got kicked out of the game and then ended up in the lobby again. There was 1 out of 30 games or so. So not really a problem, right? So technologically wise, this game is already pretty good. Now let's talk about the lore. As you remember, I had some issues with Vampire the Masquerade being a BR game. And that hasn't really changed too much. There was one really cool moment where I was fighting against another player, and I was using a crossbow who's emitting like a poisonous gas when you hit. And I was shooting at the enemy using the AoE to hit them. But unfortunately, there was also a human in the way. And I killed the human. Well, I broke the Masquerade. So the Bloodhunt was triggered. And that means everyone could see me on the map. And I was the big enemy to be taken out. And believe me, people wanted my ass. I actually managed to survive, and then unfortunately I died afterwards. Did I get anything from surviving? Not to my knowledge. Well, I survived, but yeah, not to my knowledge. You definitely want to make sure not to hit any civilians. But that's really it. Like that's my biggest problem here. Right? Like, yeah, killing a human breaks the Masquerade, the Bloodhunt triggers, and you're in trouble. Cool. But everything else is fine. Using abilities, having like a full-on war against other vampires in front of humans doesn't do anything. Like, I had literally humans hearing the shooting, the fighting, see vampires jump over the rooftops, and the humans were like, yeah, nice day. Nice evening. Yeah, I love Prague. Great city. Vampires fighting all the time. As long as I'm not getting shot. Cool. And it's like, yeah, no. I don't really, that doesn't really fit the vampire lore. And I hope they will actually add some more features which will punish you to use your ability at least in front of humans. Weapons, okay, we could say this is gang violence or something like that, whatever. But if you were using abilities in front of a human, I definitely want to see some punishment there. Because from a lore perspective, it just feels a little bit weird. Speaking of the lore, the humans are not the only ones, or well, the civilians are not the only humans on the map, because they're also vampire hunters. And the vampire hunters, they're actually really cool. So you have multiple areas on the map where the vampire hunters are patrolling, and you can avoid them. Like, if you were staying on the rooftops and you were doing your business there, you were pretty much safe. The moment you're bringing those fights into the streets and the vampire hunters are nearby, they will kick your ass. I actually had that happen to me when I had a 1 versus 1 situation. I was killing that vampire, but I did that so close to the vicinity of the vampire hunters that they came over and kicked my ass afterwards. Wasn't too happy about it. I was like, oh my god, are you serious? I just fought this one-on-one. I won. And I got now killed by NPCs. But the reality is, you just have to plan ahead. You have to keep that in mind and plan around them. You can totally do that. So that was kind of cool. I like that. That was a pretty cool lore aspect. But let's talk about gameplay here. So what do you got? Well, like in every BR game, as you can see, you are jumping onto the map. You can see if other players are nearby. You have this little radar thingy at the beginning, so you always know how many players are in the vicinity. And you can also see some icons on the map, like the red crosses are the vampire hunters or entity, right? And then you have also stores which you can break in, and then you can find weapons there, first aid or melee weapons. And you will see this here in a second. This is where you choose your classes. Like you have the Brute, the Vandal, the Saboteur, the Prowler, the Siren, and the Moose. And they have all different abilities, all different passives, and they play quite differently. Which brings me to the classes here for a second, because the Prowler is actually really good. So the Prowler has the ability that they can send out bats into a vicinity, and then those bats stay there and start to scan. And whenever somebody is getting too close to those bats, they will trigger them, and they will be revealed for like 30 or 40 seconds. It's a pretty long time, and you can see them do everything. Reloading, hiding, even if they are going invisible, you will see them. And the second ability the Prowler has is going invisible themselves and moving pretty fast. So it feels like this is the go-to class for single player game, for solo matchmaking. Oh, this fight here, by the way, was really cool. I was going invisible for a second and I got downed. So the other player didn't notice that. They thought I was actually running outside. So now I have like, 15 seconds till I regenerate, and then we'll stand up again and the player will come back. They will actually think like, okay, I was running off or got killed or something like that. And yeah, you can see it right here. And well, bad luck for them. I killed them off, and now I completely finished them off. So as you can see here, I picked up a melee weapon. There are melee weapons in this game, and they look kind of cool, but they're also kind of useless. How can you say that? Well, the problem is, and this is the biggest gripe I actually have with this game, and I really, really hope they fix it, is you are a vampire, right? You are a supernatural being who is very strong, who can move very fast. And with that said, a lot of the fights are super static. They're super static because most of the people use their abilities to keep the distance to each other. So your Q ability is always the ability to move. But the moment you are trying to get closer to the enemy, most of the enemies will actually use their ability to disengage and stay in distance. So even if you have weapons where you have to get pretty close to the enemy, they have a lot of ways to get away immediately. And in comparison to a shotgun, like you can still one-shot people with a shotgun up close. I had that happen to myself. With a melee weapon? Not really. You have too much time to react to a melee fighter. And it's kind of weird that they not give you a dodge ability. I was actually looking for like some dodging. Like, let me zip-zap around the world. Give me 2 dodges, and then there is a cooldown of like 20 or 30 seconds in the game. I have to wait before I can use the dodges again. But as I said, like even if you have like both range fighters, you're doing a little bit of ADSing, and you are trying to use, of course, your surrounding as cover, but there's not much else going on. It's a very, very static fight in the game. And it's unfortunate. I really hope that they would change that, because this game already has like a pretty cool movement system, and I hope they're using this more. Speaking of the movement system, you probably have already seen it, but often or not, I had moments where I tried to jump from roof to rooftop, and it didn't work because my jump is too short. And it's like, wait, I'm a vampire. What? Like, let me jump a little bit further, please. Like, I was always like, okay, I can do this jump. Then I'm jumping. And it's literally like in movies or cartoons where you are just like 10 centimeters away from the actual next rooftop. And you are like, I got it. Boom. It's like, oh. It's not a great feeling. And I get it. There are abilities, again, you should use. But you don't really want to use the abilities to traverse quickly through the city, because whenever you are getting into a spontaneous firefight, you want to use your abilities to get into cover or to be aggressive or something like that. So it's like, yeah, I would love to see the jumps being a little bit longer. Just a little bit. Not too much. But there's also another problem I have with the climbing and the jumping around. It has to be tighter. It's very floaty. Like, if you have played Warframe, think about Warframe, but even worse. It's not an Assassin's Creed movement. Like, you don't really feel how you move around and how you interact with all the things which are basically on a wall. It feels very floaty, and I had actually a good amount of moments where you were trying to traverse a rooftop, and then I got stuck on the corner on those rooftops, and I was jumping up and down, up and down, up and down, till I finally was able to traverse over the rooftop, and sometimes there was a person waiting there and shooting at me. Like, it feels more like a hassle than like something rewarding when you were managing the shot. Not the shot, the jump. I was like, yeah, they have to work on that. Like, as I said, everything I'm mentioning here so far, you have probably already noticed that, sounds like, hey, they can fix that. Yeah, they totally can. And I'm actually looking forward to that. There's a lot of stuff in this game where I have the feeling that over time they can implement more features, they can fix some of the things, and it's all doable. And I'm looking forward to that. Now, we'll return to this game. Yes, but I want to wait for them doing more with it. Like, this is an alpha, I said it before, and I just expect that they're actually doing a little bit more, giving me more weapons, more abilities. There's also like a talent system, depending on the humans you are sucking dry. Wait. Okay, the humans you can feast on. I think that sounds a bit better. Yeah, you can feast on. Those humans can give you passives, like health regeneration, cooldown reduction, more melee damage, right? And you can only choose 3 passives. So you have to decide if you want to boost your melee damage 3 times, or if you want to have melee damage, cooldown, and health regeneration. Like, you can mix it and match it how you want. But I would love to have more. Like, right now, I don't really feel the impact too much. Like, yeah, sure, if I find a human who gives me like a talent or like a passive, I take it. And if not, it doesn't really do much in the fights right now. Like, as I said, the fights are very static. And it really comes down to this: who shoots first and who shoots faster and hits more bullets wins. And it feels very much like every other BR game sometimes. And it's like, no, don't do that. You have such a great opportunity to take the idea of vampires and make it your own and make it feel different. And I really hope that's what they're working on. So, TLDR, this game shows some promise. Not on the lore side of things. Like, as I said, they have to do much more. Like, the lore is what it is. In the end, I can't look beyond that. But gameplay-wise, they have a long way ahead of them. And it's all doable. It's all fixable. So, it's actually a fun game. If they are fixing the issues around it with the balance and some other stuff. as I have already mentioned in the video. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate on your way out if you are clicking on the like button. If you didn't like this video, well, the dislike button is right next to it. And also, if you're new to the channel, you want to see more vampire content, or you want to see more reaction videos, Final Fantasy Lost Ark, like I'm doing a lot on this channel, I would also appreciate if you might consider to subscribe and click the bell icon, because you have to jump through a lot of hoops and loops on YouTube nowadays to actually be informed when a new video is up. And if you want to watch me live now and then, you can also do that from Monday to Friday, starting at 9 AM East Coast time at trovo.live/ChaosMole. And again, thank you so much for watching. Protect your necks out there, and I will see you next time. Stay safe.